Welcome to today's EasyBird watercolor tutorial. You will find all the materials you need in the description below. So let's get started. I've started at the top of the painting with a wash of cobalt blue. It's coming down. This is part of the ocean that I'm actually painting now. It's just the angle that we're at. And there is no sky. This is coming down to some crashing waves in the ocean, very near the shoreline where the birds are. These birds are easy to paint, and they're nice, cute little sandpipers. And they love the beach. You see them skitting about the beach all the time. They run away from the crashing waves, then run back, finding food in the sand. So I've also mixed occasionally a little bit of alizarin crimson with the cobalt blue. As you can see, some slightly darker areas on that ocean here and there. I'm using number 10. You can use a 10 or a 12 rounded brush at the moment. This one's a Utrecht brush. I use Utrecht, and I also use Pro Art brushes most of the time. And so you just can come in with some clear water around and in between the birds that you've drawn in light pencil. And then once you've laid that clear water down, you will then be able to lay your pigment down. It's much easier doing it that way. If you do it that way, you're more likely to avoid overpainting of the drawn penciled areas for the birds. For the nearby sandy beach, it's a combination of yellow ochre and Windsor yellow, just mixed together. And as we've already got that water laid down that we just mentioned, you will now see it's nice and easy to be able to paint in between the birds. I'd like to quickly mention billholcombart.etsy.com, where you can order prints from our website, including the postage. So back to the tutorial. Now, where the waves have crashed onto the beach, we've got some more blue coming in into those areas that have already had some clear water laid down. And like and subscribe, because if you do, you'll see all videos in future. You'll get notified of them. And I'm regularly uploading new tutorials, at least one a week, often more. And these tutorials I know will be helping people greatly learning the transparent watercolor technique. And as I've mentioned before, if I had this available to me, I would have learned at a much more rapid pace, and it would have been very helpful. So continue with that process, filling in those gaps here and there. And it's good that it's quite varied in intensity of the pigment and the variation of color of pigment. Just a little bit there, it makes it more interesting. And then coming in again from the lower part of the painting with a little bit more wash to darken up that area, because you always want it darker at the bottom of the painting compared to as you work your way up. Then for the birds, you can drop down to a couple of different brushes. You can use a number 4 and a number 2. Whichever make you prefer, whether it's Utrecht or Pro Art or a more obscure one. That's okay for this type of work. So at this stage, you will have studied photos of these little sandpiper birds on the beach and studied their anatomy to help you draw them accurately. And when drawing, get their little mannerisms in, the way they're darting across the beach, how their legs are at different angles in this drawing, showing that they're moving. So a lot of wetting wet takes place here. You lay a lighter colour and then a darker colour on top, and the two fuse in together, as I'm doing now. And those beaks, you'll notice that at the end they're not real pointed, they're a little bit rounded. And I guess that's partly how it gets its name, sandpiper. Um, they obviously have a beak in that fashion to help them find food as they bury their beak into the sand. So you'll see these along the beaches of Florida, especially along the Atlantic coast, but it can be along the Gulf as well. But where the waves are crashing in, that is what they like, where the waves crash in and disturb the surface and reveal the potential for food. So what you're trying to achieve is the contrast. You want accuracy, but you're trying to make sure that there is a nice contrast of light and darks going on, and maintaining the integrity of the shapes of the birds and the different characteristics of their makeup. I think when you see a bunch of these together, they look cute, but they can also look quite comical, the way they dart around on the beach. Now, because there's a whole bunch of birds here, as you can see, to keep this video at a reasonable amount of time, I just do a couple of the birds and then we move forward and paint another one. You don't have to show a video of every single bird being painted, but at least there's enough here for you to get the gist as to how to do them. And it is a combination, as is often the case in many of my paintings, of realism but impressionism too. So we are doing enough to tell a story. The birds are recognizable for the breed that they are, but we've not had to meticulously paint very carefully, almost under a microscope, so to speak, every single feather and part of the wing and all the rest of it. It's just telling a story. So I know that this one will help you learn watercolor, and please like and subscribe so that you can be notified of future ones when they're uploaded. So something like this will really help you with the techniques, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm sure there'll be more birds to come. So enjoy your painting, and we'll see you next time.